Namaskar and welcome to Sansad Television. I am Vishal Dahiya and you're watching our show Perspective, where we bring you detailed analysis of key national and international issues. Today we're going to talk about India's civil services. Now, Vice President Jagdeep Dhankhar had said that in recent years, the profile of civil administration has changed and it has become socially more inclusive. Acknowledging that young talent from remote villages and marginalized communities, including young girls, are joining the civil services, the Vice President appreciated this change in the profile of civil administration. In fact, in 2022, government had approved National Program for Civil Services Capacity Building, also known as Mission Karmayogi. Now, this program in fact aims at building a future-ready civil service with the right attitude, skills and knowledge aligned to the vision of New India. Recently, 3 departments have been identified under this program which have the maximum interaction with people to improve the experience of interacting with a government arm. And these departments include railways, postal service and police. Now, before we begin the discussion, let's listen into what the Vice President had to say.
Young talent from remote villages, from humble families, from marginalized communities is joining civil services. I have had the occasion to interact with trainees, and I can tell you, being myself from a village, having seen what education means and how difficult it is to get it, when I found the profile of those young trainees, this observation is a ground reality. These young people have closely seen the positive role that public administration plays in eradicating poverty and improving chances of realizing their full potential. A big change that has taken place, I can tell my young friends. It is also heartening to see that more and more talented young girls are joining civil services, ready to face the challenges of public administration. It is not only limited to civil service. The presence of this gender is being seen in all walks of life, including defense. And their performance is now becoming increasingly envy of my gender. And those who are from my gender, I can assure you, time has come when you need to give your best because you face a challenge which is formidable.
Okay, so today we will discuss and analyze various aspects of this changing profile of Indian civil services, various issues in terms of which are being looked into and the challenges therein as well. And for more on this, we're joined by a distinguished panel of experts. Let me first introduce them to you, beginning with Mr. Surendranath Tripathi. He's here with us in the studio, Director General of IIPA, that is Indian Institute of Public Administration. We also have with us Mr. Upendra Tripathi, former IAS officer himself, who has held key positions in the government. And Mr. Sanjay Singh, a veteran journalist, is also joining us. Welcome, both of you gentlemen as well, to Sansad Television. I'll begin with you, Mr. Tripathi, because the clips which we played, in fact, were from Vice President's address to an event in your organization only. So when we're looking at this aspect, and then largely, if you look at it a larger picture, that is the issue of changing profile, what the Vice President was referring to mostly was the socially inclusive change which has happened in the civil services profile as well. That is one aspect. But in addition to that, what are we looking at?
See, when Honorable Vice President of India, who is also the President of IIPA, when he was delivering this lecture, I was also present there. The overall feeling that we got from his lecture was that the changing profile of bureaucracy is something very good to be appreciated. He was very conscious of the fact that the nature of recruitment, nature of capacity building, nature of job roles that they were performing earlier, when they were collectors, they were district magistrate, when they were managing shortage, they were thinking small but managing shortage. From that age to the current age, when we are managing saturation, when thinking big, when we are thinking for Amrit Kal, this requires a very different sets of bureaucracy, and the satisfaction that Honorable Vice President expressed that this changing profile, both diversity, inclusion, as well as the unity in diversity, what is there is visible in the society, the same is also visible in the bureaucracy. He very many times mentioned the role of women, especially the induction of women officers. We remember that Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao was the slogan. Now betis what Honorable Prime Minister said, women-led development, not women development. In fact, in an ideal society, there should be no department for women and children because they are part of the overall development process. But we having our own system, we have to have even development of women. Now we are going for women-led development. All these aspects, which we call it social diversity, is visible in the bureaucracy also. Earlier it was in less number, now it is more. But one thing which he also mentioned, that the quality of bureaucracy which is coming now, they are adapting faster, how to work with elected people's representative, they are learning it faster, how to work with panchayats, urban local bodies, this and that. So there is a positive thing, which is a very good thing, that at least somebody appreciated the role of bureaucracy, including the changing profile of bureaucracy.
Okay. Let me bring in Mr. Upendra Tripathi here as well. Mr. Tripathi, that's one side of the story, and that's one aspect when we are looking at in terms of the change in the profile. When we are looking at the social aspect, when we are looking at the gender aspect, the inclusiveness, more women, being part, more people from rural backgrounds, more people from marginalized communities, clearing that hurdle and becoming a part of the civil services as well. But in addition to that, what kind of change have we seen over the years in Indian civil services, or the profile, not only, the face of it, but also the working profile?
Well, this is interesting, because it is not only social inclusion that has become important, but what I find compared to the year 1980 when I had joined, there's a lot of knowledge inclusion. In the academy also, I keep going there, you find a lot of new training technologies have been inbuilt now. People learn things better, and people also carry better knowledge profile. I remember as a probationer in Raichur district of Karnataka, I did not know how to handle even a calculator. And today the officers are pretty smart with, even use of artificial intelligence, if you're data mining. So many young collectors, they use databases in the district to set things right. So that knowledge inclusion, the type of knowledge they bring with them, and the variety of background they come from, engineering, medicine, MBA, and it is not merely dominated by arts. I was from JNU, and in my batch, we had 33 IS officers from JNU in the 80 batch. Out of 126, we had a mini JNU in Mussoorie. You don't have that now. The recruitment base has got more diversified, and people who come, they have better knowledge to understand, analyze problem, and find solutions. And not only that, if you look at the present generations of officers, and I interact with quite a few of them, the type of institutional complexity compared to older days, you find there is more institutional complexity in the society. You have a lot more institutions in different levels, both in the civil society, in the government, in the non-government sector. Society has a lot more work, a lot more people, a lot more organizations or institutions. So these officers have to handle institutional complexity. So these are the new things that we appreciate in the younger generations.
Okay. So the new zeal coming in with new avenues, new technology as well, playing a very important role here. That is what Mr. Tripathi is referring to. I'll come to that as well and bring in Surendraji again. But let me first have Sanjay Singh here. Sanjay ji, as a veteran journalist, you've kept a close watch, reported on various issues, various events, which of course involve, different aspects of the working of civil services, bureaucracy and other bureaucrats involved also. Now, as an independent observer, having looked at it from the sidelines, how would you analyze the way civil services in India have developed over the years in terms of its work culture, in terms of its, knowledge scenario, in terms of its profile as well, which the Vice President was referring to?
Vishal, Vice President has talked about very important thing, the changes happening. I can see this change at two levels. A, in terms of the profile of a new IS civil servant, which includes, of course, IS, the Indian service, but then allied services and so on. And secondly, the kind of job change in job profile that is there. First, if you look at why people from different areas are coming to civil services, my understanding of the situation meeting people is that in more and more urban areas, generally young students are migrating to professional courses. And the number is very high. In fact, if you look at it, the kind of offers, the percentage of marks have gone very high in, say, university like Delhi University. But then you also have a situation whereby you have very less number of students actually inclined to take subjects which used to be fetching highest marks, getting into, say, physics honors, so to say. And then the inclination, because civil services is a very tough exam, as some very distinguished panelists here vouch for. You have to pursue that exam and spend hours and hours only preparing for civil services. God forbid, if you are not there, then it becomes very difficult for that applicant to look for some other competitive exam or something else. Of course, I'm sure they all must be doing well, but then there is another challenge of another level. So therefore, the students from areas where is opportunity, or perhaps civil services comes as a great opportunity. While civil services, because civil services, to my understanding, is only service where you actually can benefit people through policies, through implementation, and through your outreach. In terms of the changes which have gone in the civil services, Upendra Tripathi has served this service for, I would assume, over 30 years. And he has, as he said, he has been interacting with new civil servants. The kind of pressure that is there in terms of the job profile today, and the kind of pressure that was, I'm not saying the pressure was not there, but in this age where digitization and social media and also popular expectation, the officers can't act like a sahib in today's, so to say, in today's world, because then people start questioning. Of course, there would be political pressure, people from different walks in life to try and pressurize you. But that was always there.
Okay.
What has changed is popular expectation to the officer concerned. If he does something well, it publicizes. If it does not, or if there is a question mark, it goes on social media and there are various other platforms where people actually raise their questions and be very critical of it.
Okay.
Therefore,
Okay. That's right, Sanjay ji. I'll come back to you, but that's a very interesting point which Mr. Sanjay Singh made, and I'd like to bring you in here, Surendra ji. From and Upendra ji was also referring to that. From a time when it was a sahib culture to a time when it is now more of a people connect. It's like you will have to evolve with times, just like every other field. The area of civil services is also evolving with time, use of technology as well, improving upon the knowledge, improving upon the skill set. Therein comes capacity building and a program which the government launched in 2020, if I'm not wrong, that's Mission Karmayogi. Yeah. So the idea was again to make the civil services future ready. So how's that moving along, Surendra ji?
In fact, Mission Karmayogi is the historic initiative taken by the current government to change the mind and mindset of the bureaucracy. And it is from lineman to chairman, what we call it. Everybody has to become from Karmachari, and because of arrogance, they were becoming Durachari, so become Karmayogi. This is a major tectonic shift in the role that the government expects from bureaucracy. So preparing the bureaucracy for becoming a Karmayogi is a huge task that government has taken, right? In fact, when IAPA was created, I can certainly remember, we were created to change the colonial mindset. Today we have to become Gurukul so that we learn from the same boys and girls who come to serve India. And we learn more from them because they understand the India much better than perhaps the bureaucrats when we were recruited in 50s and 60s. Tripathi sir, he's my senior, he just said in 80 what was the profile. I am also from 85 batch. When we were recruited, 15%, 85% was the stigma on bureaucracy. Today we are no longer trickle down, we are going for 100%, DBT, waterfall approach, many other things have come. As he was saying that the technology is playing a major role. When I joined, also the first computer I saw in 93 after 7 years of service. Today boys and girls are coming with the desktop, laptop, and in fact they are coming with the algorithmic readiness to join the bureaucracy.
Okay.
So managing the Republic of India is no longer return on investment, it is managing the Republic with investment in people, and Mission Karmayogi, where we are giving emphasis on people-centric governance. Earlier we were doing citizen-centric governance. Citizens need to be served better. Today, citizen has been expanded to be the people, people-centric. People-centric is not like only preparing program where people get benefit what they claim.
Okay.
Today we are going to Jan Bhagidari. जैसा आपने when you already know it, सबका साथ, सबका विकास, सबका विश्वास, सबका प्रयास. These are all part of the same thought process. When you believe in inclusion, you have to take everybody. So Jan Bhagidari becomes the prime mover of policy making, even in execution also.
And civil servants become the
Civil
model
become
there.
then catalyst, then becoming deliverer.
Okay.
From performance and provider to being a participant and partner. This is a mega change. And I think the bureaucracy is adopting it very fast. I know my journalist friend will find out slightly differently, but I will be in a bureaucracy field fairly satisfied.
Sanjay ji is smiling out there. We'll go back to him again on this aspect. But let me first bring in Upendra ji. Upendra ji, when we're looking at this changing profile, changing aspect, changing needs of the people, aspirations, catering to those aspirations, and that becomes really interesting because from amongst those people only are these aspirants for civil services, these youngsters whom we are talking about. But there still remain some challenges when we talk about, changing the profile or changing, the overall way of working of civil services. What are the challenges, and those are mentioned time and again, debated and discussed as well, be it the recruitment process or perhaps a bit more focus on the kind of skill sets which are required. Lateral entry scheme was one of the options which was, moved into, and it has, I'm being told, turned up very successfully. Upendra ji?
Yes. Well, I think.
Yes, we can hear you, sir. Please continue.
Yeah, I think, those things, the context, the ecosystem is, very important here to understand. Because many young officers, when you meet them informally, they say that, look, in your time, things were much less complex. Yes, perhaps that is true because it was technologically less complex. And institutionally, it was, as I said, it was less complex. But three things they identify which are very critical. And I'm very happy that the systems, the training system, the recruitment system have been updated. Particularly when these probationers come to Delhi and spend some 6 weeks to a few months as assistant secretary in various departments. That itself gives them a feel of Delhi. Otherwise the dream of landing in the district and becoming the collector and remaining ever after as collector, that idea changes now. So they are being given to understand the whole career starting from Delhi, which is itself a good thing. But those 3 points they highlight, A is, they have to have a lot more ideas. Ideas meaning, different technologies to solve problems because the problems are, more complex. Not only because of global challenges. We are talking about global warming where in Odisha, there are some villages where there is so much of coastal erosion because of global warming, the sea level rise. That is a challenge for the local collector. And then there are other issues, many global issues. I mean, talk of the pandemic that we had. So these type of new ideas they have to have, what is going to come, what they have to have, and even the natural disaster management. It has become such a challenge to many administrators. So these are the complex things. Perhaps in our older days it was much less. And the actors, it's very critical. As an administrator in any service, they have to have a set of actors around. And that number was perhaps much less in a more simple society, agrarian society. So as we are getting into more service sectors, we are industrializing, the inequality is perhaps increasing globally and even in our country. Administration itself is becoming more challenging. So these officers, per se, they are having more ideas.
Okay.
They have to connect with more institutions and actors. So this complex thing they're combining together. And that is a new ecosystem they're working in.
Okay. So situation becoming more complex, but more challenging as well. And that is where the change is required and is being apparent as well. Sanjay ji, in your views, the challenges when we are talking about for the civil services to keep pace with the changing times, to keep pace with the changing needs of the population, of the people of the country, of the republic as a whole.
We shall look at how Prime Minister has interacted with civil servants. from secretary to down to the young professionals, which he meets almost every year. And in his interaction to senior officers, he asked them to revisit the district they began with. And to young professionals, I think that is what he says is inspiration to one and all, even people who are watching it from outside. And look at kind of number of flagship programs that the union government is running. In name of Prime Minister, there are so many flagship programs. Then you have a whole lot of other programs, and ultimately it is at the district which has to be implemented by the district collector and downwards. And from there upwards, there is a system of that Pragati meeting whereby he interacts with officials in the state and down to the district level. And also the performing state governments, I would stress on the word performing state governments, there are challenges from there too. The challenges from people, the challenges from the government, and I'm not talking about the kind of pressures, schools and pressures that come in way of a civil servant. And also the kind of expectation that the officer will have from his or her own. Every officer or every individual has certain expectation from himself or herself. So combining all these things and kind of technology, outreach of technology, the capacity building we are talking about in olden times and new times, if you look at it, the system is same. But you have Jandan account, you have Har Jal Nal, you have Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. All these things are going on. The pressure, I think, is of a different kind now. The pressure was of a different kind in earlier years. I think the kind of situation that Tripathi was talking about.
Okay.
I wonder. Therefore, there is an inclination lately. If you look at the numbers of officers coming to central deputation, that is perhaps the reason why young professionals are given first role in Delhi office itself, because less number of IAS and IPS are coming for central deputation in Delhi. Therefore, that gives an opportunity to other services in other central services officer to come and join as joint secretary and additional secretary and so on.
Okay.
I think that is a good change. But yes, the question is there not required number of officers, IAS and IPS are coming to the center.
Okay.
All in all, I think things with kind of aspiration and expectation from the officer himself, and the way government is moving, particularly the union government and performing state governments, I think the situation on the ground is changing.
Okay, indeed, the change is coming and the change is apparent as well. Quite a positive one. We're moving along. Thank you so much, Sanjay Singh ji, Mr. Upendra Tripathi and Mr. Surendra Tripathi as well for sharing your views and insight as our experts were pointing out their views and their analysis of the changing profile of civil services in India, what is being done, how it is being achieved in terms of ensuring that civil services do cater to the aspirations of changing population or the young population, and also the needs of the new republic, that is India, the new vision which is being talked about and put into motion. We'll come back again with a different topic. Till then, keep watching Sunset Television. Thank you.